On the 28th of October in 2004, David planned to do a deep dive. A 270-280 dive.
I've got 2 legs on this thing.
Disgusting. You've got to have a look at.
Because no one's ever done that. No one's ever been to those sort of depths, taken a reel out, caving like he would cave at 12 metres, but now at 200 plus metres.
There was something I missed.
It'd take Dave 17 minutes to reach the bottom, but 12 hours to surface.
Go through there, if you don't mind.
When I recall the dive, I recall mainly how smoothly the whole thing went. The preparation early on in the morning went smoothly, kitting up. I had no expectation of breaking the world record for depth. The aim was to explore. But then again, as soon as I got to the bottom, I headed off deeper. When I looked across to the left, that's when I saw the body that had been lost 10 years earlier. I had no doubt, is it or isn't a body?
And when I met Dave, we both knew that we was going to go back and pick that body up. The question only was when.
So how are you feeling now, Dave?
Yeah, I'm all right. I got started to get cold in the last hour. But up until the last hour, the time really went quite quickly. Sort of, 1.5 hour after the next.
Don SMS'd me and says, Dave went to 270, found body. And my next SMS back was, when do we fetch it?
The moment Dave said that he would come back, I knew it was something I wanted to be part of.
It wasn't a decision of, am I going to do it or not? It was, as a team, when are we going to do it?
I was excited by it because of the challenge of it, the technical challenge of it. Like, how would you retrieve a body from 260 meters?
Something that extreme is a body that's been lying at a depth of 265 meters for 10 years. Let's film this thing, let's tell a nice story of this. In everyone's mind, it was going to go ahead as it was intended. I don't think anyone anticipated that it wouldn't end up like that.
Whenever you're ready, Don.
Okay, right. Because we've been doing a lot of the filming, when I do things, I've been thinking about it in terms of film. If you talk about driving, if you take a race driver, he actually becomes part of that machine and can do things with that machine that you would never, ever dream possible. And when it comes to diving, it's exactly the same. There's a few times where I've put my hood on, just my hood. Right? So I put the hood over my head, and if you listen to it when I do that, I actually breathe out as I'm putting it on. So I go, and the hood goes on, and that's the first part of the dive. And then the rebreather goes on, and I start to metamorph effectively into that machine. And when you get in the water, the final part is my mask. Now, in my mask, of my diving mask, I've got lenses. When I put that mask on, it's like switching into dive mode. And I'm now part of the water. Part of the water. That's me. This is going along in the 11th level, so it's 106 meters. That's got to be the first video ever shot in that level. When you go to Boesmans, you don't expect to find a hole. Approximately 50 to 60 meters dropping as you actually go down to where the water is. There's been a few deaths in Boesmans, but Andrea is one that everyone knew about. 10 years after Dion's death, Dave found his body by pure chance. When Dave surfaced, it was still firmly in his mind that he was actually going to go and recover the body.
Beautifully assembled. No regulator. I didn't see where the regulator was. No doubt it's somewhere, but yeah, just lying there, all assembled. No flesh, of course.
Yeah. Dave was a spirit that actually wanted to do things. You know,
What happened to my VR3, did you? It's just up there. Did you see the problem?
It's full of water. Wet.
I've never had a brother, I'm an only child, and Dave felt like a brother. The first time I met Dave, just seeing him putting the gear together, it was almost like me putting my gear together. Same gear, getting ready in the same way I would and checking. And it was almost like looking in a mirror.
Yeah, you can do this when you are. Sorry, get those.
We even looked the same.
Well, I was swimming for the deep area, and when I did a sweep to the left, about 32 degrees to the left, I saw the body, and my immediate reaction was, that's the end of the deep dive. I now need to go across to the body. What are you doing down there?
What would you think?
Well, enema was coming to mind.
I was very, very involved with teaching. I contacted the most accomplished of my guys, the guys that I trained, and said, look, do you want to come and help? Can you help? Are you prepared to? Stephen was already an incredibly accomplished diver. Peter was just about one of the first guys I met, big and bold Peter. Mark and Johan would always dive together. Truan and Titra's route were being trained at the same time. Lo was the first guy that I actually taught really coldest part of the winter, and he loved it. As far as Andre goes, we've got almost like a mental connection, so she's my last and first contact when I get out of the water. So I'm not missing for days, and then people suddenly realise I'm not there. So. When you have a person in front of you and they're learning, you see this insecurities and the overcompensation here and there. You see their soul. I never, ever trained Dave in the water. With Dave coming up, I've got someone that I could actually go and dive with. Dave was trying to make a documentary of the process. It would have been an amazing thing to actually film underwater, tell people why we did what we did.
Yeah, what did you actually do? Why are we in the water?
I'm going to show you guys.
Don spoke to me and said that there was some thought with him and Dave about filming a documentary. That made the trip even more interesting for me because that was an active role, potentially filming a little piece of history. No one's ever recovered a body from that sort of depth.
Dave, everything go according to plan?
Yeah, it was a very good dive, actually. I actually enjoyed it. We dropped off some tanks on the way down, and then I went down to the bottom. I have a purpose as well. Yeah.
heard stories about Bushmans. I've heard the legends behind Bushmans. I've heard of DeAndrea disappearing at Bushmans. I've seen hand-sketched drawings in training manuals of Bushmans. Werner did a 220-meter women's world record dive there. Bushmans was the place to be.
Now we had a full-on body recovery process in action. Once all the divers were confirmed, we settled a date, 8th of January 2005. We booked a whole week prior to that date to set up the dive.
The contrast of sitting on the top and there's a little pond with 3 frogs and a half-dead animal in it. And you go under the water and this thing goes, you know, just, it's like a church, it's like a cathedral underwater.
Part of the danger, the absolute danger of Bushmans is the ease of which you can actually get depth. And it just keeps on going. So there literally, effectively, could say there is no bottom to the place. And the only way that you've got out is a very thin line. Below you is at least 200 metres of water. My dive plan. First off, Dave goes down, which set the time of the dive, the time D. I follow Dave at D plus 13. I meet him, I take the body and hand it over to the next diver, who hands it over to the next one. All of the divers had to be at a place at a time. The problem with so many divers doing in their own right very serious dives is that there is high potential for a problem. Everything you do at Bushmans is amplified in terms of logistical problems you've actually got. You have to literally take everything, all of the compressors, all of the mixing systems. It's like moving a whole dive shop to the site. Then, of course, all your diving gear's got to get to the bottom.
Got some 35 cylinders to get in the water. You can see some of them piled up down there. That's by no means the total. There's a few more to come down yet. That's quite a dive.
John and Dave created sort of the perfect combination of people. You know, had Don with these solid technical skills with hours and hours in the water, and then you had Dave who had this desire to explore. And
someone going to 150 metres needs to pick up that tank and take it down to 150 metres.
Yeah, that'll be Mark and I.
It'll be or low. It'll be it'll have my name on it with a red band around the bottom.
I was fairly young doctor at that stage. Initially, I definitely thought this was crazy. And I was definitely quite excited to be involved. This was something totally new. We tend to first do no harm, do the good, lower the risk, save lives, etc. While many divers are actually pushing boundaries, getting new limits. And to get the balance between those two viewpoints, it takes discussion, it takes compromise on both sides.
Happy with the progress so far, Dave?
Yeah, it's been very slow this morning, but being a preparation day, it's sort of to be expected. It's good to get all the glitches and where's this and the where's that out of the way on a relaxed day, rather than a panic on a big day. So I regard the whole thing as being very normal. So.
Dave, please. One action to record it, one action to switch off record.
It's a very small movement, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to set it going before I...
Gordon and myself had suggested possibly doing an underwater camera to go with him, and when the idea was put to him, he jumped at it. We always say in technical diving circles that you don't change your equipment setup when you're doing a significant dive. Dave wasn't used to diving with a helmet, and for this dive he not only wore a helmet, but he wore a helmet with a fairly bulky housing and camera on top of it.
Not a problem.
It plays on my mind sometimes. You know, was the desire to document the whole dive partly responsible for what happened? That makes those feelings of guilt a real issue.
Dave was 2 or 3 different people. I only knew 1.5 of those, maybe. He was intending to retire at 50. We were both in a sort of a transition point where we could have actually gone off and really kicked our heels up. Now for the film. Dave would want that story told the way that I want the story told. What I've always tried to do is to give the true information of what went on. By reenacting, it really took me back to the time when I was actually there. I'll dive and reenact my scenes. I'll play myself. You play the other divers to see if I'm okay. So look at me, all right? And then you look at this.
Yeah.
So you see that, you know? And I say, that's dead. That's dead.
Yeah.
All right? And then I look at this one. So I'm looking at that, and you may even hold my hand so you can see it and angle it. Okay. Do a nice okay. do a proper okay. You have a slate, you give it to me, all right? You give it to me, I take it, all right? And then I'll write, Dave not coming back.
Okay.
All right? And then you go on. And then you leave. That's it. Do it without talking, because you can't talk underwater. If you're about to go and do a dive, when you're talking about the serious style technical dives, anyone can go deep, but coming back. The next bit is how do you come out? Decompression in itself is actually managing the gas coming out of your system as you rise. When you're coming up, you can form small bubbles in the blood. microbubbles. If it manifests in your brain, or your spine, or your ear, you face serious injury or even death. People call decompression illness the bends. The only way you can avoid decompression problems is to rise up slowly and stop, but specific depths for specific times. The more time you spend underwater, the deeper you go, or a combination of both, the longer you'll have to stop. It can go on for hours, especially in the shallow part of the dive. The 270-metre dive, every minute at that depth gave us an extra hour in the water. Within an hour, the body gets to the surface, allowing the divers a few hours to safely decompress. Decompression is a very key part of it. But really the most important part is the mind. You're not thinking about anything. Time evaporates.
Cave diving in its own is the most calming experience I've ever felt.
We dive because of what's not there. The void, the silence, the lack of light. The last frontier, right? We know more about space than we do about the deep waters.
You're in the cave, you're in the dark, it's your light and it's yourself. Nothing else.
Sometimes people search in themselves, for themselves. The closer you get to danger, the more you learn about yourself.
It's a free life. You can do things on your own volition. If it goes wrong, it's down to you.
Okay, come, Dave. Okay, so you can actually start by looking around saying, I find myself. Okay.
I find myself back in this beautiful location in January 2005 so that we can finally put a closure to this sad chapter in the Dreyer family's life. Sorry.
Okay, we can do it again.
I find myself back in this beautiful location after the previous world record dive where I discovered Dion Dreyer's body.
So let's start from the beginning.
Okay. Am I the beginning? Okay. Where to start is always an issue. The first time I heard of Boesmans Dion and his friends approached us to say, Dad, is it okay if I accompany these guys and do their backup? I said, my son, I don't have a problem. The Saturday night, a policeman arrived at the door and he said to me, Dion is missing. But 11 o'clock the next morning, we were there, where we ran into the problem of seeing that Dion never came up. You're in two minds at that stage. Where is he? He's down there. Where? Down there, but they can't pinpoint it. He's 270 odd meters below the water surface. It is difficult to find closure on that. Until you have seen, there's always hope. For virtually 10 years, we get a phone call saying we've actually found Dion.
How are you?
At last we meet.
Yeah, great to see you.
Yeah.
Great to see you.
My one here.
Lovely to see you. How was your trip? Have a good trip, did you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dave Shaw. He's one of the few people I compare to Dion.
Have you seen the chambers and everything else now?
I've seen the chambers. Tremendous.
Yeah,
The
Tremendous.
similarities in energy, approach, demeanor, it was actually frightening.
I'm adjusting to it very quickly and I'm starting to expect it on all my other dives.
The impression of somebody sacrificing for your needs. You know, that he tried doing me a favor and ended up not coming back. So that is extremely intense. For somebody that hasn't experienced it, it just doesn't mean the same.
Okay, so looking around at the beautiful location. Go.
I find myself in this beautiful location once again in January 2005 so that I can repeat the world record dive in an attempt to recover Dion Dreher's body so that the Dreher family can finally put closure to this very sad chapter in their lives.
Johan, attack! Is dat verder 100 lossen? Oké.
Peter, 20 minutes.
Hallo?
Peter, 20 minutes down, 15. He's both oxygen.
There were like almost 2 dives happening. There was Dave coming up, and then there was how the body was going to be handed up. What is it that I need to start to think about in my head? What do I need to structure in my head around if this goes wrong?
Please, divers, you've got 10 minutes. That means you've got 7. Yeah. Donna's already gone in, Dushan and Mark have already gone in, Pete's already gone in, Lowe's already gone in. Now we're waiting for Derek, Steve and the police guys. They're going to 20 meters. We're sitting on 60 minutes at the moment. They've got 10 minutes and then they will go in 3-minute intervals between them.
This happened right after your record dive. It's the record that is still holding.
Yeah, it's holding now. So on the 25th of October, so 2017, it'll have held for 13 years. So I was never expecting it to hold that long. When I look at how I saw myself when I was doing the diving, it wasn't even about the world record. It was actually about being enough, just to be me. Even though it means nothing in the real world. You know, having a world record means absolutely nothing in the world of corporate. Nothing. It's an interesting story to tell over drinks on a Friday.
Then you got 3 minutes.
So when I look at other deep divers, I always wonder what is sitting underneath it. whether they don't have that sense of something absent in themselves that is fueling the drive.
So Dave, how'd they go with the camera? Oh, the camera was actually quite good, apart from the stretchy, very impressive bit of gear. And I'm sure you'll be impressed with my video footage as well.
We'll be the judge of that.
When I said to Dave, hey, I think it's really great what you're doing for the drayers. He says, oh, no, face it, we're doing it for the hell of it. It was never a body recovery. It was a reason to do it. And I think that's what most cave divers need, is let's see how far this thing goes.
About 12 months before he found Dion's body, he rang me and said, oh yeah, I did a dive today, went fairly deep. Broke a world record. And I thought, what? I had no idea of the extent to which he was diving. That suddenly put him out of the league of most people. And I thought, what do I do with this? This is the man that I married. What do I do with this? David always wanted to be a pilot. This pilot logbooks, it says here, it's April 28, 1973, and today it's April 28. 45 years later, that was our first date. He rang and asked me if I wanted to go flying with him, and I said yes. But deep down, I'm thinking, oh, this is so scary. But I scarcely took my eyes off the instrument panel. Somehow I thought if I just watched them, everything would keep working. I was praying an awful lot, God, keep us safe. We were pretty young, 17 and 18, but yeah. Diving, that was quite a recent hobby, and only ever a hobby.
When I discovered Dion on my last world record dive, he was lying on his back, out flat, with his arms floating. The part of the body that I could see had no flesh on it. It was just bone.
We planned together how he would get a skeleton in a wetsuit back to the surface. They don't sell these sort of body bags in the supermarket. So I made up this bag.
Once I reach Dion, I'll release these quick action straps. So there's 4 of them. 1, 2, 3. And the 4th one, and once he's out of his gear, I'll continue rolling the bag up. 1 very quick action pull on that, and he's sealed inside the bag. It sounds quite simple. At 270 metres, it is quite a task.
Okay, so that'll be where you're positioned. Okay, let me just get this
So through here, I can see your hands. Just move your hands around a little bit like you're doing some stuff.
David used to practice, sometimes on the floor in the lounge room. I had to be part of this practice. I wasn't too keen on being put in a body bag, but...
Yeah, I can see both hands, from the elbow on the right hand right through to the fingers.
Do you think you can manage that, Dave?
Well, I need to have the thing on top of my head first to see what it feels like.
Yeah, there's just a lot of memories, some actually really quite painful memories in this box, but precious memories. Memories I don't want to get rid of, I can't get rid of. And for some reason, I just allowed all this to happen. But I couldn't ask him. I couldn't ask him to stop doing what obviously gave him so much pleasure.
Don and Dave, I think it's been very lucky working with you guys. Yeah. Okay. I think all of us, most of us train for something like this, or for the experience and shit like that, and it's really like an honor to dive with. Not with you, with him.
I think it's been a bloody nice group. I'll keep myself.
What are your concerns? Do you have any questions?
If you do fall behind skate, do we just go deeper and go and check up on you, or do we wait where you were dizzy?
Nothing past your program.
Okay, so as long as we just don't go past the program.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. So the 150-metre divers, you are 150-metre divers, full stop. If Dave doesn't come back on time, then obviously I'm coming on down to pick up Dave or do whatever I've got to do and then come back up. If someone had a problem, then the body becomes secondary. So a living diver is more important than a dead diver. So that was really the order of preference.
Really must emphasise that the most important person on the dive is you. Okay? It's not me. For me, the most important on the dive is me. Okay? You must look after yourselves. If you have a problem, you deal with your problem and forget about me. It cannot be any other way, okay? It's better to have one person dead than two. Okay? It's as simple as that.
Yeah, simple as that. Okay? If Dave doesn't make it, if I don't make it, we stay there. That's the end of the story.
Yeah, that's a given.
End of the story. We don't want to be recovered.
It's not an issue.
Both I and Dave said, if we died on this, I'm not interested in you pulling our body out. Anybody risking their life to pull our body out, which seems a contradiction in what we're actually doing. Any diver on that trip could have actually turned around at any point, even if it was just before he was getting in the water, and said, I can't do it. The safest thing that a diver can do on a dive is not dive. A lot of diving incidents, the people that died in those incidents die within 20 minutes of actually starting the activity that they're doing. When you look at it, in 20 minutes' time, from the peak of life, you're not there anymore.
The secret of a happy dive is a warm dive.
I was ahead of Dave. He was extremely focused when he came past me. I almost wondered a few times if he really noticed that I was there and seeing his lights slowly disappear into the depths.
I wasn't really paying much attention to what was going on around them. Being calm and getting my breathing right. Just waiting for the 13 odd minutes to pass.
There's 30 seconds left.
A dive in Bushmans itself is quite an event. The drop, the serene drop, the plan come together. When I look back on it now, what was the key point? Going in the water. All you see is a line to infinity. Once you've lost that line, there is nothing else. I'm looking forward to seeing Dave picking the body up. Now I'm accumulating speed. Now I'm on the true descent.
I'm strong. Body's taking a bit of stress, but yeah, I think the subconscious is probably just blocking it out a little bit. But yeah, we're just praying for Dave and pray that everything goes well.
As I was dropping, everything was in tune. It was perfect. As Dave would ascend, he would make bubbles. I didn't see that. Is Dave moving? Is there anything happening? No movement. okay, well, that's me. I'm on the way, all the way. And then I heard a crack. I looked at my wrist. A critical piece of equipment had broken under pressure. I stopped. I could see Dave's line. I can see it still in my mind now. Slightly forward of where I was and exactly where I would think it would be. But I had nothing else I could do but ascend.
Please, time is 5 minutes.
How much?
5 minutes.
It's interesting to think that the actual work is almost all over.
Yes, the actual work is all over. He should be at 150 at this stage.
And but yet, only in about 11 hours' time, Dave comes out.
Yes. I can't see that people do this to themselves. It's difficult to comprehend.
We got to 150 meters.
The wait started.
It's like being on the back of the moon. And after 2 minutes, we started to see a light. And Dushan and I, we looked at each other. We knew exactly what we were thinking. There's only one light. Who is it? Is it Dave or is it Don?
I have to say at the time, I haven't said this before, we spoke about it after the dive. We hoped it would be done.
The 6 minutes were up. There's no debating. You know you have to go.
We'd agreed as a group, don't be hero. Somebody's in trouble, they need to sort themselves out.
And when we got to 100 meters, we met the next diver. And I remember writing on a slate, one light below, not sure if it's D or D, Dave or Don. And immediately you can see in their eyes was, oh no.
Stop. Peter's still down there. Based on the slate, the message said that they could see one light below, and that was all. So I'm just going to chat to Derek now. As soon as I know anything else, I'll let you know.
You've read the slate?
Yes.
Okay. No Don or Dave.
Where's low?
Now we'll go to 150 now and wait.
We're going to have to wait for more comms now. So,
How much have you got?
not a lot, but I can do another dive to 40. So, it's purely speculation. What I suspect I saw was Steve on his way up from 100 and Low on his way up.
Peter
from
was already
150.
above you?
That's not Steve, sorry. Peter on his way up and Low on his way up. Where is Steve?
Steve's under.
Steve's under. Steve's under as well. So we've got 7 divers in the water. asked me if I would fill a role of multi-purpose. I would meet Don at 80 meters. The first thing I do, if I'm a backup diver and I'm supposed to meet a diver at the depth, is I look at their eyes. Our eyes tell a big story. And in the eyes, I could see something. So I started looking at the gauges. I saw the depth that Don had gone down to. I knew there was a problem. Everything seemed normal, but I anticipated that him plummeting to that depth, that there could be a problem. At the depth he's been at, something could happen. Yeah, this is what I wrote here. This is what Don wrote. Yeah, this is the slate I brought up. You know, the reality hits you and you know Dave's gone immediately. I mean, at that depth, at that time, there's no ways he's coming back. One doesn't get emotional at that point because there's another dive in the water, so you sort of say, okay, Dave's gone, now it's Don.
Okay, we've got me inside. Okay, Don's okay, Dave.
Don's alright anyway.
Don's okay.
Dave's not coming back.
Dave's not coming back. No.
I need to get on my radio.
No.
Okay, you okay? Don's okay. So, Don's okay? He's at 80 meters.
Take 5 minutes. We're not going to get there.
I was thinking of sending the slate up by with a buoy, but then it could drift from the main line, people could miss it. I needed to make sure that I took the slate personally and gave it to the service marshal.
I was reasonably sure that Dave wasn't coming back, but I still had a hope. But what I didn't want was anyone else actually going further down. I really did not want anyone to go past me for their own protection. We were thinking of Dave on the bottom, but we've got divers strung all through the water column. All needed support.
Even on the surface, people were saying, maybe, maybe. On a dive like this, you have hope, but you know it's not going to happen. Thanks.
Two hours into the dive, I was back up to about 46 meters where there were cylinders. I took one of those cylinders and clipped it off, I should have taken 2, but I left my other one. If Dave was coming back, if he was coming back, just still that thought in my mind, he would need everything he could get at that point. As I did that, I felt myself losing consciousness. I am now in a washing machine. I am spinning. I'm not aware of where I am. Not aware that I'm in Boesmans. Not aware I'm on a dive. Not aware that I'm a human. Not aware that I'm even on this planet. Just running on complete mental, where am I? It's sort of a thought in my mind, and I wouldn't be able to pin it other than this is some dream somewhere where I'm actually, this is happening, but I can't really remember what it is. I've got some sort of basic feel that there is a line. I catch the line. If I hadn't have caught that line, I'd have spun. I'd have just dropped. That would have been the end. I must go down, otherwise I'm going to have a really serious decompression problem. Not that I didn't really have a serious decompression problem at that time. I must pick up that other cylinder. When I picked up the cylinder, I started to vomit. Just the act of picking that cylinder up made me vomit. I think at that time, I still had about 10 hours to go.
Don't let you know. Yeah, that's me, all right. Can I just get this off? Of course you can.
You're going to go up to the...
Everybody is all right. Don seems to be okay.
No, Trun will go now and check on him. Okay.
I have no idea what happened. The only thing that I know is that he wasn't there.
Yeah, sad. It's not what any of us wanted.
No, obviously not. Shit. But,
This was the first time I'd gone down in the dive, and I think there was a bit of apprehension that, am I going to find Don there? He was holding the line like this, and you could see the rebreather pipes above his head like that with the mouthpiece closed, and you could just see the bubbles. I saw him taking the regulator out of his mouth and spitting, and then I knew he had thrown up.
Don was bent, and it's basically a problem of your inner ear where your balance is regulated. And he was in fact going deeper. And then I knew that this was a serious case.
Yeah. It became really, really complicated really, really quickly. We needed continuous support.
Yeah, okay, not a problem. I just need to change the slate. Trun hasn't gone yet.
If he didn't have somebody, it wouldn't be difficult for us to lose him completely.
Trun, if you need something, come back. Come and fetch
It was busy. I don't think I've ever been that busy trying to track people. Where is it? How long have you been in? How long have you been out? How much air have you got? Well, how can we do this in the next ways?
Okay, so you need to give me his current depth and his decro time.
I've got a nice rock stable.
We're going to help people. Whoa.
The box is still breathing, keep him there, and then let us know. I don't know, I'm going to let you know.
Werner said, you guys must go back in the water because we will Don out. So we said, okay, that's fine. I mean, we have to dive, that's it. And that's what we did.
John, he needs to tell you what that time is, okay? So I need from you to keep track on a separate slate how deep he is and what is his deco time. So let's write this in. So, current...
The instinct with vomiting in water is to actually breathe in. You vomit and it's in the regulator and then you breathe it straight in.
No, he's still vomiting. Vomited just once while I was there.
Did anything come out?
There was still this thing in the air that people didn't quite want to give up on Dave. Getting confirmation that nobody had seen or heard from Dave allowed, I think, the rest of the support divers to move on and focus on the diver that we had, which was Don.
Every diver that came, I could almost feel the fact that they were trying to assist. There's nothing they can do. No one can breathe for you, no one can swim for you. In the end, I couldn't breathe. The muscles didn't have enough energy left to actually suck the gas down. The only way I could breathe was actually push the purge button to force the gas in. In a very restful situation, my normal breathing would be somewhere 4 or 5 breaths a minute. Thinking back, I probably slowed my breathing down just because it was so awkward to breathe. Life revolved around, okay, I need to breathe now, let's push the button.
Exploring caves at these depths is the same as going to space. Same thing.
Yeah, I think space you've got more chance of survival. You can still fall back to Earth.
Just write on the slate for Don as well that if possible you want to swim to the short line.
Okay, we'll do.
Werner, for the better part of 8 hours, ran a show, impromptu, keeping Don safe. And she did it perfectly.
Pain? No. Vertigo-ish. Okay, that's cool. Nausea still yes, so he's getting better.
Lovely.
Still vomiting, does not want new rebreather or diluent.
He's fine. He's fine, that's it.
Once.
That's good.
To have the bend that he had at the depth that he had and to have managed it as well as he did says a lot about who he is as a diver. Doing absolutely what has to be done in order to survive and not giving up.
All right, that's all sorted. The airway bag will be going up with him. It's the blue bag that will be attached to the oxygen.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we're going. Crew on, go.
Okay, RBS aan de linkerkant.
You play this PC. Okay.
They'll do it, they'll do it. Let's see which one is wrong.
Catch up. Listen to Don, he knows what it is. Listen to Don, he knows what he's talking about. Okay?
Okay, he's away. I'm hanging on.
So everything was okay until, you know, when I got him over that edge and I looked at him and I thought, oh, fuck, you know, this is bad.
Yeah. He's got to stand on two. He wants to or not. Sorry?
We've got chairs. Okay.
Black open.
He's on it. He's on it.
He's on it, okay.
You happy with that?
Yeah, cheaper thing.
Very good. Okay. You happy with that? Yeah. We are going to change regularly.
Andre's been sending lots of messages. She loves you and she's expecting to see you soon.
You're getting up beside him upstairs, yeah?
The people that had phoned me all the time were reassuring me that he was fine, you know, he'll be fine. But when I saw him, I had quite a bit of a shock because he wasn't fine. His eyes were going like all directions. He couldn't focus on somebody like we would focus. They were just all over the place. I wasn't that confident that he would get to actually dive again. If he couldn't dive, then what's he going to do with his life?
Before.
So
There's two people before.
Don's okay. Don's okay.
Dave's not coming.
Dave's not coming.
I need to get on the radio. Okay, you okay?
It even brings the tears to my eye now. And goosebumps. Yeah,
We're not going to get there.
I do want this film to be made. We wanted to make a film of this before the dive even happened, and even more so now. Most of us didn't see each other again. And I think that's left an open-ended story for many of us.
It's not me. For me, the most important on the dive is me. Okay? You must look after yourselves. So if you have a problem...
David had arranged, if anything happened to him, the minister of our church would come and tell me. I just felt like I'd fallen off the edge of the universe and God wasn't there. Where do you go from here? Who do you tell? How do you tell?
How sweet the sound that saves a wretch like me. I was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
We still had tanks at 150 meters. The idea was to then go in on Wednesday morning and get them out. So that we leave the hole the way we found it, clean.
Peter phoned me and told me, listen, there's been an accident, and can I come down to help him because all the other people are left.
En wat Samuel fout gemaak het was om die volk te laat tel. En hy sê hierso in vers 14 nadat die straf hom opgelê is.
I had to abort 3 times before the dive. And usually they say, if the third thing goes wrong, quit the dive. But I didn't. And now I can tell you, the pressure that was on Dave to do that dive, maybe that same pressure was on me. How would I know? I don't know.
Petrus was in front of me. I looked behind Petrus and I saw a line going up. And I couldn't figure out what the hell that line was because there shouldn't be a second line in the water.
The rope is going by itself, starting to pull me up. So I just roll over and let the rope go. Because we started pulling and he came loose, Dave was just start floating up. Peter went in ahead of me, and he shined on the bodies. It's bodies, it's definitely them. I couldn't believe it.
He saw Dave on the roof with Dion, he said, suspended, hanging below him. And the only thing holding Dion onto Dave was Dave's torch. Literally just the umbilical cord of the torch. And the cave rind was just one wrap around the Goodman handle.
I took out Dion's body hanging from a very thin cave line, so I must be very careful not to drop it.
I started getting panicky. I said to him, let me take the body up. I'm going up in any case. Then I came up through the slip.
When I saw Dave, I know I mustn't look in his face. But it was unavoidable. At one stage, he was looking right into my face. Maybe the Holy Spirit just take over of my body completely and tell me, listen, just do this and get it over with. You have to do it. There's nobody else to do it. I was just focusing on the camera on top of his head because that will tell what happened to him.
Waar is hy mes?
I got a call from Peter and I was absolutely horrified. I was so distraught I couldn't tell anyone else. The unfortunate thing then meant that everybody found out from the press that David's body had been recovered.
The Boesmansgat cave in the Northern Cape has taken another victim.
A Perth diver is missing.
As they're pulling the 270-metre line out, divers make the startling discovery.
Johan was all entangled in the cave line. So that's how they both came up.
But in the end, Shaw did bring Dreya's body back to his parents.
What a great man, and it's devastating that he should be lost.
As the two divers' gear is brought out, all eyes are on one vital piece of equipment. A camera that had been strapped to Shaw's headgear.
And tonight we bring you exclusive excerpts of Shaw's footage in this E-News special report.
There's separate issues going with that tape. The first thing is we actually really knew what happened to Dave. There was no speculation. It was there. David recorded exactly what went on, and that is unique. But it's a snuff tape. Dave there was breathing, and you could hear him breathing, and you could hear his last breath. And now we're talking about some leaked tape going out live and showing exactly what happened on TV. So I tried to stop that, and the only way I could stop it was actually talk over it. So I actually went to the studios and literally talked over it in the studio. And at this point, I could barely walk, not alone anything else.
There was an internal debate within us, the team, of how much to show. And yes, we can stop short to the last breath, but we can stop even earlier or not show.
What I always did was take it to the cat's cradle, where he's trying to cut and then he tries to pull the line. And then there's some sounds on the thing that sound like the last breath, where he's and that we cut it at that. Dave comes to the bottom and follows the line to the body. He gets to the body. We thought it was a skeleton, but it wasn't. It had soft tissue and was buoyant. As soon as he starts to work with the body starts to move, as though it's actually spinning. It started floating and entangled with Dave's torch. Normally, Dave would have put the torch around his neck. He can't do that because the camera's there and it's too big to lift his hand over the top of. Once the body started floating, he got caught with his torch. Dave tried to cut the line, but his breathing got faster and faster, which was the beginning of the end. He lost consciousness due to the high level of CO2 generated by his effort. First time I saw the video, I sort of really lived it with Dave. When he stopped breathing, I almost stopped breathing. And it took me a long time, over half an hour, to actually recover enough to move.
Dear Anne, when a stone is dropped into a lake, it quickly disappears from sight. But its impact leaves behind a series of ripples that broaden and reach across the water, an influence for good that will reach the lives of many others. How true that has been.
There is a huge amount of symbolisms and ironies in the story. Dave sure went down to get a body for the sake of the parents, for the sake of his ego. He then sacrificed his life.
He still keep his promise to bring up the body.
You know, nobody there was a hero. Nobody wanted to be a hero. Nobody became a hero.
We were just divers doing something that we really, really enjoyed and had a passion about. And this dive became something so much bigger, so much more.
All I'm saying is tell everybody's story, because everybody there has a story.
As soon as possible, I got everyone together and showed them the tape. Everyone had done to their utmost to make sure that I came out okay. I needed to make sure everyone knew what was happening, telling the story correctly.
I'll wait for you, wait.
Right. I can feel the hairs on the back of my neck. Sure. It's real. Yeah, it's real. Remember, I'm giving you that this is Dave's dead now. When you're in the water, it actually becomes very real. And we're going to do this half a dozen times. Want to practice again?